Hi everyone. So I found it really inspiring watching all your videos. I really enjoyed them and I can really reflect and relate on them, relate to them. Um, so my early literacy um, experience is that I grew up with just me and my mom, and she dropped out of high school in 10th grade. So she never went back to school. So academics were never her thing. It wasn't her specialty. And she didn't want that life for me. She didn't want me to end up dropping out of school because the reason why she dropped out was because she never had anybody teach her how to read. Um, Never taught her any literacy skills at all because her mom, their situation was rough, and her mom just did not have the time to sit down and teach her anything. So, in that department, so she ultimately hired a reading tutor for me. She had me read every single night. She read books to me every single night. Um, she had sight words all over the house. She did every single thing she could to make sure that I was up to par with my literacy skills. So when I went to kindergarten and first grade, I was at the level I should have been at. But then I remember as I got into second grade, I know some of you guys mentioned this where you would stay quiet in hopes that the teacher wouldn't call on you. I had a similar experience where I would wish that the teacher wouldn't call on me to read anything, because even though I knew how to read, I knew how to sound out words, I knew how to decode them. My issue was I couldn't picture in my head what I was reading, so I wasn't comprehending anything. I could read it, but then I wouldn't be able to tell you anything I read. Maybe two things out of the 10 things that I was reading, like I wouldn't be able to tell you. And it was a struggle because at that point, my mom was at a loss, like she didn't know how else to help me, so she hired reading tutors. She did everything she could. But while I was in school, it was hard because teachers, I feel like, didn't have the time because they have like, and I understand that they have like 30 other students in the class, that it's hard to give attention to one or two students that are struggling with comprehending, and they sometimes get overlooked and don't get the attention they need. And that was my situation where I didn't get the attention I needed. Eventually, I was put into like resource room and I did get the attention I needed. So my literary skills ultimately improved, but that's how they began. That was my experience, my ultimate experience. My overall experience, I mean. So, as a teacher, my goal would be is that I would analyze, take the time to analyze and take notes about every child in my class and take a note which ones need help with decoding, which ones need help with comprehending, which ones need help with spelling, etc., etc. And then formulate a strategy for each one to consult with the parents with so that they can ultimately help out as well. Because I can only, as a teacher, you can only do so much while you're in school. You need the literacy instruction to be going on at home as well. So I would definitely incorporate that into my technique going further. And based off my experiences in literacy, it helped me formulate that plan that I would document each issue that each child is having and then figure out a strategy for each child gradually. I know that it would be very time consuming to do that, but I'm sure with the parents' help that it's definitely doable, and that would be my ultimate plan. So that's my experience and my attitude towards early literacy, and I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of your stories.